This week we're still reading
Yes, we are still reading.
The Right Thing to Do by LovesBitca8, otherwise known as Pumpkin Soup.
Hi readers, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Katie.
And welcome to Not Another Heroine, the book pod where we celebrate the heroines we love
and roast the ones we don't. We'll be your TBR FGMs.
Fairy godmothers.
And find you the best 5-star reads, the spiciest romance, and save you from the overhyped DNFs.
So grab your favorite drink and get cozy. Welcome to Season 3.
So in part 2, we are going to start with the meddling mother figure.
I love Narcissa.
I do too, which is interesting because I feel like she is kind of like a divisive character in the actual like Harry Potter books, but she gets like an interesting treatment depending on like how an author wants to use her, depending on the fanfic. So it's like cool that she's like the nice mom in this one.
And if you love Narcissa in this book, there is a Narcissa Lucius novella that LovesBitca8 also did. It's called Birthright.
Oh, did you read it?
I started it.
Oh.
I'm undecided yet.
That's fair.
It's a weird.
That's fair. I don't know that I would like,
because it takes place at the end of it kicks off at the end of The Right Thing to Do.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Because there's a bunch of stuff that happens towards the end between old mom figure and her husband. Anyways, Narcissa, decides it's time to step in and try to mediate. So she goes to the bookstore and she's like, oh my gosh, Miss Granger. And they have some kind of like philosophical discussion about books and, they hit it off apparently and are very good friends. And so Narcissa's like, oh my gosh, you should come and visit for tea and you can see the Malfoy library. And Hermione's like, oh.
You don't say no to Narcissa Malfoy.
Or the Malfoy library.
No. So Hermione's like, well, I guess Hermione.
I was about to say, okay, Victor Crumb.
Oh my God.
Sorry. Hermie.
So Hermie gets on her nicest outfit, which is not very nice.
No.
And she goes to tea at the Malfoy Manor. And Narcissa is lovely and welcoming and doesn't put a lot of pressure on her because she knows exactly what she's doing here. Just full on matchmaking. And she knows Hermione is just very kind of shy, maybe a little sheltered. And so they have tea and then she releases Hermione to peruse her library. And of course, Hermione finds a stack of books she can.
Did you feel secondhand cringe from this?
A little bit.
I don't know that I would go to someone's library to visit and then I would pull out 15 books to borrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. I hadn't thought of it like that, but that would be a little.
I think I just overanalyze things, but I would be so embarrassed. I'd be like,
I would pick
too
out
many books?
3.
Yeah, right? Okay, sorry. Totally unimportant.
Yeah, that's right. I would, but it also kind of plays into Hermione's youth a little bit, and she's kind of uncultured. She doesn't know a lot of manners.
Yeah,
and that also comes into play a little bit later in the book. So maybe that this was all in character for Hermione.
Honestly, I could see that. Interesting.
So she has this stack of books, and then Draco shows up, and immediately Hermione is all over, oh my God, I'm leaving. I'm just borrowing some books. Your mother invited me.
Don't look at me.
And he takes the books from her and carries them for her and walks her to the fireplace. Is this the one where they have dinner?
They have dinner, and he's a dickhead for no reason.
Yeah. Because they still have the whole in the background, him telling her about the auction and stuff. And so she's kind of on pins and needles around him as well. Do I like you? Do I hate you? What's going on here? Yeah. So they have dinner and it's.
Yeah, because Narcissa's oh my gosh, another opportunity for me to extend this matchmaking thing. And so everybody sits down for dinner and Hermione's I don't know what spoon to use. This is fine. And before she can eat, Draco's basically, I'm summarizing, but you're an idiot. Your policy recommendation that you're about to make is trash and it's going to get denied. And you're pretentious and stupid. And she's like, wow, that's kind of rude. And so she leaves in the middle of dinner. She's like, I'm not going to be.
That's where I got cringe. Because she did not handle the dialogue with Malfoy very well at all.
No, yeah. So she gets up in the middle of dinner and she's like, Narcissa, I'm so sorry, but I cannot continue to sit at this table.
I desperately wanted pumpkin soup though.
Oh my God,
after eating this dinner because there's a little house elf. What's her name?
Mippy. Yeah.
And so she's serving pumpkin soup and Hermione is just staring at this bowl like it's the best soup on the planet. She hasn't gotten a chance to try it because she's just battling with Draco. And so there was so much focus on pumpkin soup. All I wanted to eat as I was reading this was pumpkin soup.
Yep. I went to this fancy restaurant once and it was like a pumpkin bisque with like pomegranate sauce on top.
Oh my God.
Bussin'. Oh my God, it was so good.
That sounds amazing. Okay. So Hermione and Draco have this kind of very tenuous relationship. Yeah. And they're dancing around each other a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But then they get summoned to work together to solve this dragon egg case.
Mm-hmm.
So Draco is the analyst, right? He's working with Harry and everything. And he's the brains of the operation, I would say. But they pull in Hermione because she's from the Department of Magical Creatures and she picks up on the details. And it was this very like crime show esque Bones style, them working together and them like realizing, oh, we work great together. Like our brains are in sync. And that was cute.
Yeah. Because I love it. They like do it unintentionally. And then like their supervisors are like, oh my God, you guys work so well together. You should keep working together. And Hermione's like, no, thank you. I'm okay with that. I don't want to like smell him all the time. She means it in like a good way. But like also if there's other things to focus on than the way he smells, but sure.
And then in the background, Draco is still dating all these beautiful models and stuff.
Until Draco shows up at the bookstore and he's like, hi, Hermione. Well, he calls her Granger, but whatever. My mother is insisting that you come out to lunch with us. And she's like, so we can have like a public version of our fight that we had behind closed doors. And he's like, I'll be on my best behavior. And so they go out to lunch with his mother and then they are photographed for the Prophet. And obviously this is headline news.
It looks a little intimate.
And then I think after that is when we get the Quidditch match.
Oh my goodness, this Quidditch match. So Draco is playing in like the Ministry Quidditch League. Like they meet every Sunday or something. It's adorable. Harry's playing in it. Draco's playing in it. And it's like the holidays. It's November-ish time frame. Ron comes back from Ireland. He's got like a break in his schedule. And he comes and he visits Hermione right away. And right off the bat, Ron's there for something.
Yep.
Because just as Hermione and Draco have been like seen together in the paper, Ron's like all of a sudden like, oh no, that's my woman.
Draco Malfoy, really?
Absolutely the fuck not. So he comes back and he's immediately handsy with Hermione. Hermione's like, what the fuck are you doing, Ron? Like,
please
Ron.
back off.
Isn't there like a bookstore
Yeah,
scene?
they're all three in the bookstore and she's like, I have to be really weird about this. Like, hello, Ron.
And he grabs her by the hips.
Yeah, oh my God. And she's like, well, I don't want to be mean because like I still kind of like you, but also Draco is like right there.
My favorite scene from this little section is in the newspaper articles, there's a line about Hermione keeping a bowl of candies in the bookstore specifically for Draco because they're Draco's favorite candies. And so as he's like battling with Ron and Ron is getting more and more like protective, Draco just grabs a candy, pops it in his mouth and like gives Ron a knowing look.
Because it's such a like suave like fuck you, bro. I love it.
It was so good.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. And so this triggers, obviously, some possessiveness. And then someone has to, like, step out for the Quidditch match. So, of course, his friends are like, Ron, why don't you play? Because nothing could go wrong in this. And so Draco and Ron are competing against each other. And I think even before the match happens, they are talking back and forth. Things escalate. Ron punches Draco and then Draco tackles Ron and it turns into an all-out brawl. I think like Harry pulls back Draco, but then like Ron gets the opportunity to like punch him in the gut.
Oh, and God. Hermione like was planning to just read her book during the Quidditch match, and so she runs down the field to break them up. And like Draco had said something to Ron, and like both Ron and Harry refused to tell Hermione what it was.
Yeah. And so obviously all of this is pictured, and then Hermione goes up to like accuse Draco and be like, why are you like starting fights? Like, that's stupid. You know how this looks. But she gets photographed doing that. Things devolve. And so basically November rolls around, like the end of the month, and Narcissa comes up and she's like, Hermione, I feel like our friendship is developing. I want you.
The way you said that.
I want you to meet my husband. He has some like interesting points that he wants to talk to you about. And she's like, go to Azkaban to meet Lucius? I don't know about that, but sure.
Do you recall when I was tortured on your mansion floor?
Oh, when your husband tried to like murder us? Oh, okay. And so she goes to Azkaban, which girl, no fucking way, but sure.
Lucius gets one visit a month.
Yeah.
And Narcissa gives it to Hermione.
Crazy. And so, obviously, in Lucius Malfoy fashion, he gives her a list. And Hermione reads it off, and she's like, what the fuck is this? And it's like good table manners, interior decorating skills,
dancing,
like stupid, like society woman. And at the end of the list, it says pureblood. And she's like, are you asking me to find Draco a wife?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? And he's like, I will not go without anything on this list except the last one. So you need to start classes, interior decorating, dancing, if you're going to be seen with my son. And she's like, okay, cute, but no. And he's like, well, it's interesting because Draco has been toying with this idea of launching this like consulting firm, and he is relying on the inheritance fund that I control. And so if you don't go to these classes, he's not going to get that money. And Hermione's like, oh no, like I don't really want to like crash all of Draco's dreams. Maybe I can just like do this on the down low. That's fine. And so they come with this tacit agreement that Hermione is going to start these classes to become like a society woman, and Lucius is going to dole out chunks of his inheritance.
But this was confusing to me as a reader because it did not sound in character for Lucius. And also Hermione agreeing to do these classes, but also wanting to stay away from Draco.
Yeah.
It's almost as if Lucius believes the like perception that the newspaper has printed about her and Draco.
Yeah.
But then why would she take the classes?
I don't know. I feel like there was some kind of like tidbit that I like missed during this.
I think it's just a mechanism to get Hermione into these society classes is all it is.
Basically, because one of the important parts is he also says that Draco went at one point during the war to talk with his grandmother to try to get 35,000 gallons for some use during the auction. And Hermione's like, well, why would he need that money? And Lucius is like, well, he was trying to save you, not buy you. So he was going to make sure that no other Death Eaters got Hermione during this auction thing. And she's like, well, he said that he was going to buy me and like abuse me. Like, I don't know if I believe you. But now the like seeds of doubt have been sown.
And this is what kicks her off to be like, I really need to find out like what's going on here.
Basically, after that, we get the weird, like, Hermione goes out on a date with Aiden for some reason, and then they find Draco out with his girlfriend and Marcus Flint.
Oh, this scene is, well, we kind of skipped the bit about the house.
Oh, shit. Because it's like a passing thing.
Yeah. So earlier in the story, I think like first couple chapters, Draco says it's a good thing that Hermione hasn't been back to her old Muggle home. And that's like a mysterious little Easter egg. Like, well, why would he say something? Like, okay, obviously I'm going to go back to my Muggle home. So this is where she goes back to her house and she finds blood on the walls. And it's
some kind of like spooky message too
about
like you can't hide or something.
Yeah, you can run, but you can't hide. No, whatever. And she's like, well, that's weird. Whose blood is that? So that's another thing she wants to find out later.
Yeah.
And then she goes out on this date with Aiden.
Yeah.
And Aiden is like a puppy dog.
Yeah.
But I got sinister puppy dog.
I got knows more than he's letting on. Like the class clown that's like, I know things, but I'm just going to pretend to be stupid. But I get what you mean sinister. Like there's some kind of like deeper something going on.
Okay, so what had happened was, so Hermione is like, well, Draco's out on all these dates with all these hot women. Like I need to put myself out there. I'm going to start dating even if I don't really like the guy. Like I just need to practice. So she agrees to go out on a date with Aiden and she actually has a good time. And so I liked this because that is a very real experience. Like, like surprising yourself by having a good time with a person you had clearly underestimated.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, as her and Aiden are going to another bar, they run into Draco and Noelle. Noelle's this cute, perky, blonde American, like, college student.
Oh, my God. I will say the audiobook made her voice heinous.
Oh, no.
Oh, it was so bad. Sorry.
Yeah, you don't like Noelle right away, but you kind of get that she's not really a threat. She's just there because, Draco is, romancing a society chick. And they're all having drinks. It's kind of awkward, but it's not going terrible. And then Marcus Flint shows up.
Boo. He got his teeth fixed, and apparently that makes him like a person worthy of hanging out with. And Draco's like, oh my God, my buddy Marcus, how are you? And they are reconnecting, and drinks are had. Everyone's, having a good time.
And then Marcus Flint very, like, I don't know, knowingly pushes a second glass of butterbeer at Hermione. Like, here, have this drink. And then he kind of like eggs her on, like, are you so weak you're not going to have another drink? It's just another beer. So she drinks it. And as she's slowly sipping it, this is only her second one, she starts to feel a little sick. So she gets up from the table. She kind of stumbles her way to the bathroom. She's like, what the fuck is wrong? I've only had 2 beers. And the symptoms start getting worse and worse. She gets dizzy, starts like seeing spots and feels like she's going to throw up. So she finally like throws herself outside to breathe in like cool air. And like shortly after that, Draco follows her outside. And she, just as Draco appears, she realizes that she has had the magical equivalent of a date rape drug.
Yeah. It's really hard to read. It's sad because it also is magical variant that is only triggered by, one person putting their hair into it. And that's the only person that like the drug will respond to.
Yeah. So Draco like reaches out to like keep Hermione upright. And the minute he touches her, she feels like this overwhelming sense of lust. And so she like kind of throws herself at him and starts like
going at it.
And Draco's first response was like, should I enjoy this?
What's happening? But then he's like, hold on. And then we like progressively get to the point that like they figure out what happened. But I don't know how Hermione gets home.
I don't remember. Oh, Aiden shows up.
Oh, yeah. And then she doesn't feel anything. And then she's like, did Draco
do this? So she goes home thinking it's Draco. And then the next day, she's kind of put the pieces together. And this is what I loved about how Hermione is portrayed in this one, which is, yes, she succumbs to like these emotions and like this sense of fear, and she feels things, but she's also analytical enough to like look back, like, actually, no, it doesn't make any sense. That wouldn't be Draco. And she realizes it was Marcus Flint.
Yeah. And then she gets the little tidbit that Draco went back inside the bar and beat the shit out of Marcus Flint in front of everyone.
Yeah.
Love it. God.
But what we know is like Marcus Flint knows Draco is the thing for Hermione. So like typical dude bro, try and help his friend out.
Yeah. And I feel like this was the like final triggering moment for Hermione that she's like, I need more information. Like, what the fuck is going on? And so her and Ginny kind of fess up to Harry and they're like, hey, there's this thing with this like auction that was apparently going to happen. We need more information. We don't know what like Draco's like real motives are. And he's like, well, I work for the government, and the government thankfully is really slow. And all of the memories from his Wizengamot trial are still like in processing in a warehouse. I'm also up to guard said warehouse next week. So maybe we can make a little tidbit plan and put together the pieces of what's going on. And so they commit so many felonies, and Hermione gets to see these memories, which that was a decision.
It was so
probably not an ethical one, but
no. So the first memory she sees is she finds the memory of Draco going to her parents' house.
Ugh.
And she sees that he's, along with a group of Death Eaters, and one of the Death Eaters forces Malfoy to like put his blood on the walls. But this is after Hermione follows Draco as he sprints up the stairs of her childhood home, runs into her bedroom, and goes from like stoic to like teary and completely overwrought at finding her bedroom empty. Yeah. And then immediately like, oh, he thought he was going to find like either a body or she was going to be alive and he was going to have to do something.
God. I love it when authors actually portray Draco for like who he was. Like he was a 17-year-old that like was forced to commit war crimes. And the expectation there was that he would just kill people. Like, that's a lot to ask of a 17-year-old. So I love it when they have these, like, emotionally heavy moments. It's like, thank you for adding, like, a drop of realism into this.
And if the first memory wasn't impactful enough, she finds a second memory because she's now drawn in, and it's the scene.
It gets worse.
It gets so much worse. So it's the scene where she's, dragged into the Malfoy mansion, and Bellatrix and Lucius are there and demanding that Draco like identify them. And he's like, well, I don't fucking know any of them, not at all. And then Narcissa is standing next to Draco, and Bellatrix starts torturing Hermione. And then you get to see Narcissa and Draco standing by the fireplace, and you see all these emotions going across Draco's face. And then Narcissa says to him, what would Severus do? Oh my God. I died.
Because also, like, I'm not going to say this word the right way, double entendre? Because both Snape is like a oculumens. Yeah. I also can't say that word, but he can, like, store away his emotions. But also, Snape was in love with Lily. Wow.
Readers, I have a Snape candle on my desk at work.
Excuse me?
A coworker got it for me.
I love this.
I also have like a Slytherin like ID holder.
I love that. Oh my God. You know what? I don't judge you. A Snape fan, you have...
Yeah.
Welcome to the club.
Hermione's world is
shattered.
Yes. And she immediately puts all the pieces together and realizes, oh shit, Draco cares for me or cared for me at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So she's sneaking back out of like the archives, and then she runs into Draco.
Oh, I love this scene. Because he like asks someone, he's like, is Granger up here? And they're like, no, I mean, like, she hasn't really been up here at all. And he's like very confused. And then Hermione realizes that he smelled her.
Like shampoo.
Oh, God.
Because she's standing right there under the invisibility cloak.
I love it. I don't know.
There's so many
so
cute things that happen in this, like, it's basically a workplace romance drama, but that only could happen with those elements of magic.
Yeah. God. Because how romantic. Someone can identify you by your smell.
Oh,
what? I mean, like, ew, but also, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, immediately after this, Narcissa realizes that things are maybe on the up and up now. And so she invites Hermione to the, like, Malfoy...
New Year's Eve ball.
Yeah, which is also when Malfoy, or Draco, is going to introduce his consulting firm that he's about to launch once he's done with his, like, probationary period or whatever. Malfoy Consulting Group. Sounds very suave, fancy.
Yeah.
Billionaires.
He's 19, by the way.
Casual. And so she obviously goes to this ball all dolled up, super beautiful, like white dress or something. They have a moment on a balcony or something. And then at the very end, at like the strike of, the new year, he like toasts the crowd as he's giving this speech. And she thinks that he is talking to her. They make eye contact and she's like, oh my God. And so she runs home and she's like, I'm quitting my job. I'm going to apply to Malfoy Consulting Group. And he immediately sends her an owl back and he's like, welcome to the club.
That is a good ending point.
Yep. Yeah. She just,
she quit her job.
Career change.
Yeah. Gonna go work for Malfoy. Gonna go work for her fellow 19-year-old.
Yep. No, what could go wrong?
Yep. All right, readers.
From our shelf to yours.
We'll see you on the next page. Hi, readers. Like what you've been hearing? Check out the Spice Archive at notanotherheroine.com to see all of our reviews and ratings. And if you'd like to support our growing library, find us on Patreon and get access to exclusive bonus content. If you'd like to just listen, we post new episodes every Monday and Wednesday on Spotify, Apple, and Amazon. Thanks for listening.